Hello, this is Femi Akojeno here, John Maxwell Certified Executive Coach. I'm doing this video for three categories of people. First, those who are planning to move to America or maybe live in America, whether for a short time or for on a permanent basis. Those of you, wherever you may be around the world, if you're planning to come to America, this video is good for you. I'm also doing this video for those of you who are in other countries outside of America, but you have relatives in America. This is a good video for you. And then I'm also doing this video for those of you who are here in America, but you have relatives outside of America. This is a good video to share with your relatives outside of America. Now you may say, why am I even bothering myself with this kind of video? Well, I happen to, do seminars on how to come to America. That's one of the things I do. At least I've been doing that in the past few months. And I realized that many people who are planning to come to America need a reality check. And I wanted to do a video like this to help them. And of course, I'll still talk more about how this can be helpful at the end of this video. But let me share a few wrong beliefs that those who are outside of America have about coming to live here in America. Of course, one of the major reasons why people come to America is for economic migration, or they come here to better themselves economically. They believe that if they come to America, then they'll be better off financially. It could be true for some people. It may not be true for some people. Well, you have the wrong misconception that, well, once you are here in America, you have made it financially. So those who hold those types of believes that every one of us who are here, we've made it. We are swimming in money. We just have we have lots of money, right? And we have this extra money, to just give out just like that, right? And then you have those who maybe they come from America, or they go to other countries from America. They live here in America and they go visit their countries, whether it's in Africa or Europe or wherever it is. I won't say Europe, because Europe is like where you want to come to, unless certain parts of Europe. But anyway, so from the West, right, they go to maybe places like the Caribbean or Africa and places like that. Sometimes those who live here and go there, it could be for a vacation, right? They live large. During the time of vacation, let's say in Africa, for example, they go to Africa, they wear flashy clothes, right? They're wearing flashy, shoes, and they just really flashy. They stay in flashy hotels or fancy hotels, and in some cases maybe even throw parties and just really live it large while they're there in Africa. So the impression that people get in Africa is that, wow, you guys are really enjoying, like, wow, you have money like that. What they may not know is that many of those people who come, to Africa, for example, and spend a week or two on a holiday and spend all this money, that they don't live like that in America or in UK or Canada or wherever else, right? So they don't realize that. They just thought, wow, if you could do all of this while you are here with us in Africa, this is how you actually live your life in America, not knowing that, no, yes, they stayed in that fancy hotel, but rarely do they stay in that fancy hotel in America. They really don't get a real picture of what's really going on. And also, they don't realize that when they leave a place like America or Canada or UK and go to a place like Africa, that they are taking advantage of the currency, right? They say there's an advantage when it comes to the currency. For example, here in America, $1 is in the black market currently about 730 naira. In Nigeria, for example, right? So $1 is 730 naira. Now, so how does that benefit you? By the time you convert it to the naira, it's like you get a lot more. So you could do a lot more. So of course, it's going to look like you're a big man. It's going to look like you're a big shot. By the time you convert, your dollars into naira, yes, of course, you're going to live it large. But the reality is this: that's what you're able to do with lots of naira, you're not necessarily able to do here in America, with the same amount of money. So, and then they don't realize sometimes that those who actually come home, wherever the home may be, in my case, would be like Nigeria, they don't realize that some of the things they come to do there, they actually come to do it on credit. That they are actually using credit cards. So the airfare, sometimes they're using credit card to buy the airfare, or the airplane ticket. They're using credit card to buy some of those clothing that they're wearing. So yes, they look like they're living it large, but they actually have to pay it back. So when they get back to America, they have to start working double shift, triple shift, just to try to pay back all the show off that they just did while in Africa. So those who are in Africa don't realize that that's what's happening. Now, I'm not saying everybody, I'm not saying this is the case for everybody. There are some people who are well-to-do, who have actually maybe, have great careers, great jobs, able to make lots of money and all that stuff. But that's not the average person. That's not the average person. And I wanted to do a video to kind of help those who may be in Africa or in the Caribbean or wherever else to understand how this whole thing works. All right, so let's give a scenario. I want to give you a scenario. This is important because sometimes people think they calculate our American dollars in their local currency, and it looks as if like wow, you are really a rich person. So I'll give you an example. So imagine someone here in America, let's say a caregiver, because I know people who are in Africa, and for me, Nigeria in particular, because that's where I know, right, where, somebody's saying, hey, I want to go to America, I want to be a caregiver, I want to be a caregiver. Okay, fine. Let's say you come here and you're a caregiver. And let's say you're able to make $25 an hour. Of course, many caregivers don't make that, but let's say you're able to make $25 an hour and you're working a full-time job. So let's look at this scenario right now. $25 an hour, full-time job, that means 40 hours a week. So $25 an hour times 40 hours, that is $1,000. Now, if you were to convert $1,000 to Naira, for example, and that's a week. In 1 week, you've made $1,000. You convert that to Naira, somebody is saying, oh my God, you are very rich. That's like, what, 73,000? 73,000 Naira? Like, wow. Am I even getting it right? I think so. So 73,000 Naira. So let's go with $1 for 730, right? So they're looking at you like, wow, you are really rich. If I'm not getting it right, just do the math, okay? But the fact that you could make that in 1 week, right? 1 week, somebody's saying, wow, you really enjoying, you really living it large. Like, wow, you are really, really, really rich over there. So because for somebody, some people, that's money they may not touch, I feel like I'm getting the calculation wrong. So if you're watching, just do the calculation. But anyway, that's money that some people don't get to touch, right? Depending on, of course, who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with some people in a village area, maybe for a whole year, some people don't even touch that kind of money. So just think about it, right? So that you're making 73,000 Naira is like, what? That's a lot, right? That is a lot of money. All right. So with all that being said, so when you make that kind of money, right, they're not accounting. In most cases, they're not thinking, okay, so what does that mean? Does that mean you get to keep all that money or not, right? So I want to help you to understand this. So again, if you're, as a matter of fact, why don't I do the math so that I can, so I'm just going to use my phone just to be sure that I'm doing this thing right, right? So 730 times 1,000. All right. So 730. Yeah, I knew something was off. 730,000 Naira. All right. So 730,000 naira. Now that's a lot of money in 1 week. Just think about it. In 1 week, I was like 73,000. That's nothing. So it's 730,000 naira, right? So just imagine. So you're making 730,000 naira in 1 week. It looks like a lot of money to somebody who is in Nigeria, but in reality, $1,000 in 1 week is not a lot of money here in America. Now, by the time you now add on, well, so 1,000 a week times 4 weeks. So for a month, you're looking at about $4,000. Again, looks like a lot of money to somebody outside of America, but to those of us in America, that's nothing. So let's do the math now. So why am I saying that that is nothing? Well, if you live in New York City, and let's say you have 2 kids, let's say single mother, for example, with 2 kids in New York City, by the time you pay for a 2-bedroom apartment, and in these days in New York City, 2-bedroom apartments are easily going for like $2,400, $2,400. So by the time you remove $2,400 from $4,000, you're only left with $1,600. By the way, out of that 4,000, so you are really not even taking home $4,000 because taxes are going to be taken out of that money. So let's just say conservatively, $100 is taken out every week. Now, for some people, it's a whole lot more that's taken out. But let's just say $100 is taken out every week. So instead of $1,000, instead of you taking home $1,000, right, you're taking home $900. $900 by the time you multiply that by 4, instead of $4,000, you're taking home $3,600. Now, just watch this. $3,600, and then you have a rent of $2,400 to pay. It's very expensive now. So in New York City, so let's say you're in Nigeria or you are in any other African country or Caribbean country, and your relatives are here in New York City, and they're making $25 an hour. Now, some, of course, may be making more than that. Some are making less than that. And out of that $4,000 a month, they're only taking home $3,600. And out of that, you have to pay a rent of about $2,400. In some places, it's even more expensive than that. And maybe you found a great deal somewhere. Maybe like, wow, somebody's really renting this apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, cheap for you. Let's say $2,000. Okay, let's say $2,000. I don't know where you find it, but let's just say $2,000, right? In New York City, you found an apartment, 2-bedroom, so that you can stay in one room and your 2 kids can stay in another room. You found that for $2,000. Then you are left with, out of $3,600, you are left with $1,600. Now, do you get to keep $1,600 in your pocket? I wish. I really wish. So out of that $1,600, after you've paid your rent, so here are some expenses you have to deal with. You have to deal with, depending on where you live, right? If you're living in a condo, right, sometimes you have to pay some condo fees, right? But if you're just living in a regular apartment, then all you have to worry about, in that apartment will be your rent. But guess what? There are utilities. So let's look at utilities. Here in America, you have to pay for electric. Now, in New York City, it's Con Edison. Now, in some other parts of the country, in America, it could be called something else because, different companies serves electricity to the people depending on where, which state you are and all that stuff. So in New York City, it's Con Edison. So electricity. So you have to pay for electricity every month. Then you have to pay for your gas every month. So gas is what controls the heat. So, of course, we just finished the winter season and crossed into spring. But guess what? During the winter season, it was really cold. So how do you get warm or stay warm in your house? Because, of course, of gas, right? So that gas is what controls the heat and your cooking abilities. So your stove is able to receive gas and stuff because you're paying for the gas bill, right? And then in some places, you pay for the sewer. Now, let's say for you, maybe rent is not what you're paying. Maybe mortgage is what you're paying, right? In other words, you actually bought a house. And so when you buy a house, unless, of course, you're very rich and you can afford in a place like New York City, a one family house is easily going for 500,000, 600,000. Two family houses are going for more, right? And those of you who are in real estate, maybe I'm even behind right now in my calculation. Maybe it's gone, higher than that. So it's that expensive. So by the time you start paying mortgage, forget about 2,000. Forget about that. Your mortgage may be just the entire 3,600. So, but just look at where I'm going with this, right? So you're paying for utilities, you're paying for electricity, you're paying for gas, and in some cases, if you own the house, you're paying for water or sewer, right? And then in some places, you're also paying for garbage or trash removal. So those are possible utilities right there, right? At the very basic level, most people at least, well, let me say all people pretty much, unless the utilities is included in your rent, most people are paying electricity, they are paying gas, and they are paying for their cell phone. Now, I know many people are doing away with home phones now. If you're still, having home phone, a phone at home, right, the landline, then you pay for a home phone. If you're not dealing with that, most people are not caring about that anymore. They use their cell phone. Okay, so most people have to pay their cell phone bill. And then now you also have to pay for the internet. Because if you have kids, well, the kids are going to be doing homework, right? So you need to pay for internet so that they'll be able to do their homework. Now, see how the bills are piling up on you, right? So out of that 1,600 that's remaining, after you paid your 2,000 very cheap rent, you have to pay for all these things, right? Then there's cable, because most people want to have cable at home. Now, some people say, cut the cable. Let's get a Roku or something like that. All right. Some people have cut the cable just to save on, utilities and having to pay so much, right? But some people say, you know what? I need to have cable. I want to have Nickelodeon for my kids or Disney Channel for my kids or whatever and stuff. So they have cable. Or I want to watch the news. I want to watch, football. I want to watch soccer. I want to watch basketball, whatever. So they have cable, right? It's not free. That's another bill. So you see how the bills are racking up. Now, if you drive, so usually you have two options in driving. It's either you buy a used car so that you can own it outright. You go to the auction or somebody's sending a used car, you buy that, you don't have any monthly fees. But of course, the car is older. Or you buy a new car. Now, so you have some people who like to, they like to show off. Even if they really cannot afford that, they would rather buy a new car and be able to tell their relatives that, hey, look at what I'm driving, 2023 car. All right, fine. So that 2023 car, again, unless you have cash to buy this car, which could be, who knows, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, depending on what car you're buying, or maybe even 100,000. Well, if you don't have the cash, then you finance it. If you're buying a brand new car, you have to finance it. So what that means is now you have to have a car note. You'll be paying a monthly bill every month. Now, so with that car, number one, you are paying for your car. Number two, you are paying for the insurance, because you don't drive in America without having a car insurance. So you're paying for a car insurance. And then, of course, once you start driving, you have to pay for gas. Because cars don't run on water. I wish you can just go to, to the side of the house or something and put a hose and pass some water inside your car, and then you can run, you can drive with that. No, right? You still have to put gas in the car. So are you seeing something here? And then depending, of course, where you live, in some places you have to pay for parking. Because maybe you live in a very busy area like Flatbush in Brooklyn or something, where maybe there's hardly any parking, so you have to find a garage that you'll be parking your car. My God, it's getting more expensive. And then depending on where you live, if you live in Staten Island, for example, you have to pass through these tolls every day. Now, thank God that at least they make it a little cheaper for the residents of Staten Island, but they will still pay some kind of toll. Wow. So just imagine, right? And of course, once you get the car, you have to register it. That's a yearly thing. Inspection, that's a yearly thing. So just think about expenses, how they are all piling up. Now, I wish it stops there. Now, for some people, by the time they finish paying all those things I've just mentioned, they don't have any money left. Literally, some people don't have any money left. Now, on top of that, you still have to live, right? So you have groceries. You have groceries because you have to buy food and cook food in the house and stuff like that. So living expenses like groceries, right? Now, some people forget about going to restaurants or takeout. They've cut that out because that's expensive. That's someone who has extra that can actually go to a restaurant and be sitting down there and be eating at a restaurant. So for some people, they just to save money, they just cook, buy groceries and cook, right? So just think about it. And then of course you have to wear clothing. If you have two kids, you have to, make sure you're buying clothing for your kids. And of course, as they are growing, their feet is growing, so the shoe size is changing, and you have to buy new shoes and new clothes. And just look at expenses. And of course, you have to do laundry, right? Because you're not gonna, the clothes is not gonna get dirty, and you keep on wearing it. And in most cases, most people are not, washing their clothes with their hands. Who has time for that? This is not some village somewhere. Who has time for that? So usually you have to still pay, right, to get your laundry done. It's either you going and putting the coins in the machines or a card in the machine and getting it done, but it will still cost you something, whether it's on a weekly basis, every other week, or whatever. Wow. And then if you have pets, then you have to care for the pets. So, and then of course you have to deal with beauty needs, right? So for you, going to the, salon and fixing your hair, for your children, cutting their hair and all that stuff, those are all living expenses. Wow. So are you getting the picture? Are you getting the picture? So you are in Africa, you have a relative here in America, and you think, wow, they're swimming in money because they're in America. What you don't know is that they're dealing with all these bills. Now, some people may not have some of these bills, but there are some that are basics, right? Whether it's electricity, gas, phone, internet, those are basics. Now, some other things like pets, of course, if you don't have pets, you don't need to worry about that, right? But clothing is basic, food is basic, right? Laundry is basic. Like, those are things you have to do. They all pile up. And then, remember I said, the scenario I'm giving you, a single mother with 2 children. So now you have to deal with childcare. If you're working to try to make ends meet, and then maybe, by the time school is done, you have a couple of hours between the time school is done and the time you get home. You have to now have those kids picked up and taken to like an after school program or something, or like a daycare. Daycare. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. If you have kids that maybe they are not school age, well, so they have to be somewhere. So they have to be at a daycare. While you go to work, that is not cheap. So you have to deal with daycare, right? Or babysitters, right? Wow. And then, of course, if they are, school age and stuff, sometimes there are needs, from time to time, okay, they're going to take them to a trip. And they may be asking, okay, each parent to bring, a little contribution here and there. All of those things, they add up. Now, I wish I'm done. But guess what? It's not done yet. It's not done yet. Now, so just think about it. You are in Africa, you're in the Caribbean, you are somewhere else around the world, and you have some relatives in the West. You have some relatives in America, in Canada, and in UK, and you believe that, wow, because they cross over from wherever you are to this part of the world, that they just enjoying life. Like, they just have a lot of money. And you should just be asking them for money all the time because they are making it. But I'm just telling you all the things they have to deal with. So when you see them stressed out, this is what they're dealing with. But I wish it is done. No, it's not done. So now let's look at medical and insurance. Now, sometimes, usually for those who have low income, right? Those who have low income, they get to have free or low-cost health insurance. So, but if you are not in that bracket, then you end up paying for health insurance. Sometimes you cannot get free health insurance, you have to pay something. So that costs money. And then also life insurance, which is a great idea, because if you're working so hard like this just to make ends meet, God forbid something happens. And we've known about people, they work so hard, work hard, just want to make ends meet. Sometimes they have to do 2 jobs, 3 jobs. And sometimes it take a toll on their body. We've known of people who are stressed out and they die. And if you don't have life insurance, then what are you going to do? What about those kids? So it makes sense to have life insurance. So, but life insurance, you have to pay for. And then when you go to the doctor, right? While insurance will cover, basic things or, many things, but there are some things that they don't cover sometimes, right? Or some medications that you have to pay some co-payment or whatever they call it, right? So you have to pay some little something. And it's a must here. You can't even start school without getting medical for your kids. It's not like in some part of the world where somebody can just not go to the hospital for a long time of their life or not, at least get a physical or something. Here in the West, you get physical. You got to be checked out. And then, of course, there are some injections, or what do you call those things again, right, that you have to get, right, that are required for your children to have. And if insurance is not covering it, then you have to pay for it. Wow. Prescriptions, some dental procedures. God forbid that you need some dental procedures done. Sometimes they say, oh, insurance does not cover this one. And dental can be very expensive. Now, in a place like America where, okay, we pay attention to these things. In other parts of the world, who cares? They don't care, right? But in places like this, we pay attention to these things. And so, money again. So when a relative of yours is saying, I'm broke, don't think that they're actually telling you I'm broke just because they are selfish. It's because of what they're dealing with. It's because of all those bills that they're dealing with. Now, let me say a few things so that you don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Some people are professionals and they earn more, right? So they're not earning $25 an hour. They're earning a lot more. Maybe they're making $100,000 a year. But can I tell you this? Even the one that's making $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, if they don't watch it, they also will be broke. Because what usually happens, even to many immigrants, is that once they come here and they're making that kind of money, they want to really live flashy. And so they upgrade everything. So they start living large. They upgrade their car, they upgrade. So all those things, I wish it's free, they still have to pay for it. So instead of maybe driving a car that you'll be paying, I don't know, $200 a month for, now, because you want to really live large, you went and pick up one luxurious car, and now you have to be paying $500 a month. So just think about that. Sometimes those who maybe used to live in a part of town, that's just, average, they decide that, well, I'm making $200,000 now. Let me go live in an upscale neighborhood where instead of paying just $2,400 a month, they'll be paying $4,000 a month, $5,000 a month, just to feel big. But at the end of the day, sometimes they're not better off the one who's making $25 an hour, because all these expenses is on them. So are you getting a picture of this? So you say, what do I do with an information like this? What do you do with this? What you do is, number one, understand that those who are in America, Canada, UK, they're not necessarily rich the way you've thought. And even when you come to those countries, don't think that it means you're going to be rich. It doesn't necessarily mean so, right? If you manage your finances well, you don't have to be so much under pressure. If you don't try to live for the Joneses, if you will cut your coat according to your size, like they say, you should be all right. If you're not trying to impress anybody, if you know that according to your finances and budget, all that you can afford is a used car, maybe 5 years car, 10 years car, but that's all you can afford, then you do what you can afford. You don't try to go impress other people and, by driving these big cars, because you're only bringing a lot of bills on your own head. So if you come into America, number one, have a reality check that, yes, I'm going to be dealing with bills. That's how it is over there. Secondly, let me cut my coat according to my size. So before you even get here, already start planning how to manage finances well, so that you don't find yourself in a place where now you have to be running to credit card. Do you know that there are many people in this part of the world who have a lot of credit card bill? So sometimes you see them living large or doing some things and going to Disney World or doing, and you say, wow, they're really enjoying. If you really get to the matter, to the root of it, you'll find out that it's all on credit. It's all on credit. They have to pay you back. They don't own what you think they own. They have to pay you back. So, wow, such and such has gone to America. Look at the car they are driving. They don't own it. They have to be paying a car note. And so stop getting the wrong impression. Sometimes if you know what I'm talking about, if anything, you should show concern with some of those people living large and say, hey, wait, hold on. Are you being irresponsible? Are you really being irresponsible? Could you actually really afford all these things you're doing? Or are you just, getting in debt and in debt and in debt? You'll be surprised how much debt some people have gotten into. $25,000 in debt, $50,000 in debt, $100,000 in debt. One credit card and the next and the next and the next. They looking large, they looking big, they coming to you, looking all flashy and everything, not knowing that they really cannot afford what you're seeing them do. The lifestyle that they're posting on Facebook, they really cannot afford that. You don't want to get into that. You don't want to get caught into that. No, don't get caught in that. Now, so how can this that I'm sharing with you also help you? It helps you to understand your relatives who are here, that they don't have it like that. So if you think that you want to just be asking them for money all the time, they are hardly making ends meet here, right? Now, again, this is not everybody. Some people have it because they've chosen a great career choice. They've gone to study something that affords them great money. And now that leads to another advice for you. If you're planning to come to this part of the world, you may want to study something in your country so that by the time you get here, you can really make a lot of money. Instead of just saying caregiver, do you have an opportunity to study something that really is in demand in America? Maybe if you study that and you come to America, then you're able to get a great job that can give you an edge over those who are just struggling with the, caregiver job or, simple jobs like that. I hope this has kind of helped you to understand a little bit of life in America, how this bills thing work, and that hopefully you stop stressing your relatives that are here in America, in Canada or UK. Now, some of them, of course, maybe have it, right? And they should help. I'm not saying in any way that those who have it shouldn't help, but many times the people that you are stressing, they are struggling themselves. Sometimes that's why you hardly get them at home. Say, where are you? At work. Where are you? At work. Why are you always at work? You don't understand. Look at all the bills I just read to you, right? They have to pay all that. So that's why they're at work all the time, right? But again, you can choose. If you're watching me right now and maybe you live here in America, you can begin to look into another type of career or maybe upgrading yourself so that you can make more. And then you don't have to be at work 16 hours a day, right? You can make good money, maybe $50 an hour, right? $70 an hour, $100 an hour, so that you don't have to struggle as much. So those of you who are here, you can gain from this, and of course share it with your relatives. Maybe you have been telling them they're not getting you, they're not believing you, they think you're just being stingy. Share this video with them so that they can see that, whoa, somebody's actually breaking it down for them to understand. And then for those of you who are back home, stop stressing those of, your relatives that are in the West, and do as much as you can on your own. Don't stress them for everything every time. Understand that they are also dealing with a lot of expenses, right? And if you're planning to come here, position yourself in such a way that when you get here, you're not struggling, because you're planning to, you're studying something that will put you in a better position to make good money in America, Canada, or UK, or also change your mindset. And rather, I should say, not all, but and. So change your mindset. Don't think that, oh, once you get here, money has arrived. No, you still have to do the right things so that you can be financially free and prosperous. Hopefully, this has been helpful. I pray that this has been an eye-opener to everyone who have watched it. Share it with those who you believe can benefit from it. Those of you in America, share it with your relatives outside of America, and those of you in America, share it with others. Those of you in Africa or other places, share it with those who you believe can really gain a lot from it. Now, that's not to say don't come to America, but at least come with the right mindset so that you know how to navigate your way through life in America and still succeed here in America. I'm Dr. Femi Akojenu, John Maxwell Certified Executive Coach. If you have watched me on Facebook, please go ahead and like my Facebook page. And if you have watched me on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also share this. I would like to hear your comments. What do you think? Has this opened your eyes? Do you disagree with what I'm saying? Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Tell me in the comment section. Let me know. Let me hear from you. I would love to hear your comment on this video. I want to thank you for taking time to watch this video. Until next time, be wise.